Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. We are entering the chapter 16 of Bhagavad-Gita. The topic is Daiva Asuri Sampat Vibhaga Yoga. The distinction between saintly and sinful virtues. It is believed by most religions that every human being is a combination of human and animal traits. The human tendencies are supposed to be of the nature of sattva, which is expressed in the form of ability to gain knowledge and pursue happiness through knowledge. Whereas the animalistic tendency is pursuit of happiness only through senses and objects. These two tendencies present in all living beings. But predominantly in the human, the pursuit of knowledge and happiness through knowledge is predominant and not animalistic tendencies. They are there, for the basic urges cannot be denied. But when the animalistic tendencies are overpowering, we cannot claim ourselves to be human. Over and above these animalistic and human tendencies are also present divine virtues. These divine virtues are only for those who want to even transcend the human nature and reach godhood. They are called the saints. Who are the saints? In the Upanishad, it is beautifully said, one who believes in the highest absolute truth is called a saint. Asti brahmedi chetveda santamenam tado viduridi. One who has complete, unquestionable faith in the existence of the absolute truth, Brahman, such a person is a saint. And not only that person just believes in that, emulates those qualities which are required for one to reach the godhood. Whereas most of us who are probably not aspiring to discover the divine godhood in us, at least we should behave as human. If we fall down to the category of only animal, As Pujya Gurudev would say, we are not even fit to stand in two legs. We have to crawl like the animals with the 4 feet. The 2 hands that are given to us to accomplish our goals as well as the activities and projects and service that we can render as seva to the world of people and other living beings. If we are not sacrificing our life for the sake of others, then we are as good as selfish, unintelligent animals. Worse than even the animals is the quality of Rakshasa or Asura. Deva, Deva and Asura, just the opposite. Sura is considered as divine. Asura means undivine. Please understand one thing, that impurities in our life, anger, lust, passion, greed, jealousy, all these are all not really present, but they are experienced by us when we are not good. Just like darkness is absence of light and not there is something positively something called darkness. If there is darkness positively existing, coexisting with the light, then when the light is there, darkness also should be there, which is not the case. When the light is brought in, darkness is no more. In the same way, negative virtues such as anger, lust, etc., even though experienced by us, but when the good qualities are brought in, they become extinct. They cannot stand it. Just like the darkness cannot stand the light. They are in absence of goodness. We tend to behave as though we are sinful. These sinful virtues are therefore in absentia, you can say. So the important topic that is taken up by Krishna here in this chapter is to recognize what are the good virtues, also recognize what are the devilish or sinful virtues, and we must bring in the divine qualities consciously and not to worry and struggle with these sinful virtues in our life. Anger cannot be replaced by desire. Jealousy cannot be replaced by greed. Greed cannot be replaced by jealousy or delusion, because they are of the same category. They are to be replaced by good virtues, in the presence of whom the devilish, sinful virtues cannot express themselves. They have to be extinct. To seek the company of people who have divine virtues is therefore very essential for us to emulate those qualities. So in this chapter, let us understand what are the divine virtues which we may have, or at least we may appreciate the importance of those virtues, thereby strive to achieve them in our personality. At the same time, be aware of the negativities that are enumerated in this chapter, not for us to judge others, who is wrong in my friend circle, who has these kind of qualities. No, it is for us to quietly, silently observe within ourselves and find the ways and means to replace them. We should accept certain of these devilish qualities are there in us. Only when we accept, we can overcome. So Gurudev in the introduction beautifully puts, the anxiety of Bhagavad-Gita is not to classify mankind as good and bad, and to promise a paradise to the good, and to curse the bad to endless damnation in hell. The qualities enumerated here are the result of scientific observations made in the physical, mental, and intellectual behaviors when life, the knower, pulsates through a disciplined or an undisciplined field of experiences. Even a sinner is alive, conscious, as much as a saint is lively and conscious. Consciousness is unaffected by the qualities that are there in the mind, whether devil or divine. But the divine qualities can enable an individual to discover the always present consciousness very easily. While the devilish qualities in our mind cloud our mind so much that it is difficult for an individual who has these devilish virtues to dwell deep into the calm and serene presence of consciousness. It is like a place filled with so much of noise and chaos. In such a place, you will never find peace. While where there is orderliness, where there is less of chaos and noise, more of rhythm and music, in such place, an individual can easily discover peace. In the same way, when the mind is disturbed with these negative qualities, which cannot allow the mind to remain peaceful, in that peaceful mind and quiet mind alone, one can discover the silent presence of consciousness. Therefore, knowing very well that the object of life or goal of life is to discover the consciousness which is of the nature of freedom and liberation, joy and bliss, an individual should strive to increase the wealth of divinity in oneself. In the beginning itself, in this chapter, Krishna enumerates 26 divine virtues. Devi Sampat, the wealth of divinity. And we will see what it is in clear terms and what it is misunderstood as sometimes. Actually, what it is not. Here, first set of qualities are given. Abbayam Sattva Samshuddhihi Jnana Yoga Vyavasthidihi Danam Damascha Yajnascha Swadhyaya Taba Arjavam. In the first verse itself, Krishna has put 9 qualities. First one, he says Abbayam, fearlessness. You know, when do you actually become fearless? When you have nothing to lose. When you have nothing to lose, then you will not be afraid. If you are, let us say, just for an example, you went to a casino and playing some game, and the money that you're using is your friends. And you will very boldly play the game. Why? Because you're not going to lose it. It is somebody else's money. So what is, if you are paying with your own money, then of course you will be very, very careful about it. So when there is ownership, when there is possessiveness, there is a fear of loss. So the first thing that Bhagavan Krishna says is a divine person, a person with a divine virtue is one who is Abbayam, one who is not having any fear because he has discovered by the study of scriptures and the teachings from the teacher that his own self is eternal, everlasting, immortal, deathless. It is not a mere daring spirit, adventurous spirit. That's what we think as fearlessness. Scale the height of Everest mountain or go here and there and then climb the rock. Yes, you can do that. That is for the sake of getting the world's recognition that, oh, you're such a bold person. But that is only temporary. So true fearlessness is where one has no fear of even losing one's own physical life. Gurudev used to say there was a yogi who was sitting there under a tree, meditating, facing the sun. Then in that very same place, a king, the king of the country, he was passing by in a horse along with his retinue. So when he passed by, he saw the yogi sitting there under a tree, looking at the sun and not saluting him. I'm a king, why is he not getting up, even showing respect? He was very upset. He told his Senadipati or the commander-in-chief, hey, go and catch that yogi. Ask him to get up because I am passing by. He went and told the yogi. A saint was sitting there under the sun, under the tree and looking at the sun. Hey, the king is passing by, you should get up. That yogi said, let him pass by. Why should I bother about that? He is going on his way, I am doing my work. It was not arrogance, because he felt that looking at the sun and meditating is more important than getting up for a king. So the Senadipati came back and told the king that he's not getting up. King got very upset. He got down. He went in front of that, stood in front of the yogi, drew his sword. I am going to cut you into pieces for disrespecting me. What is your last wish? He said, just to move. I want to look at the sun. Fearlessness, fearlessness. Mahatma Gandhi, when he was struggling for the freedom of the country, what dress he was wearing, do you think? A bulletproof. Nowadays, you look at the politicians, bulletproof with the 5 or 6 black cats with the AK-47 in their hand, moving around. Bulletproof car, bulletproof dress. Who are they afraid of? While he was struggling for freedom, were surrounded by the British soldiers and British officers, Gandhiji was wearing only a cloth on his waist, not even anything on his chest, and sitting there and addressing thousands and thousands of people in a public place, talking the ill effects of British rule. Not afraid. Not at all. What does it show? I am not afraid. Even if you kill me physically, you can kill my body, not me. That is fearlessness. Fearlessness is not the absence of fear. Fearless is living in spite of those things that scare you. So-called the things that are dangerous or scary. What can it do after all? I am eternal self, I am immortal, I am deathless. This does not mean that one does not take care of the body or the sickness and diseases that come to the body. He will treat it, but not out of fear, out of feeling welfare for the body, which is necessary for serving the people. Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda, when he heard Swami Tapovanam is in the deathbed, so he rushed to Uttarakashi and then prostrated to him. And then he said, Maharaj, I will take you to Delhi where you can be treated. Why you have to go through the suffering? Swami Tapovanam smiled and said, why in Delhi nobody dies? Everyone has to die. Sometime or the other. From the day you are born, your death date is already marked. This physical body has to die. Didn't you know? Hey, Chinmaya, I have not taught you about this. Jadasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu dhrubam janma mridasya cha. Anything that is born is subject to death. This body is born, it is subject to death. But understand, the self in you, the Paramatma in you, which is real you, doesn't die. Identify with that Atman in you and understand the impermanence of the physical body. You will become fearless. In these 26 virtues that are being enumerated, Gurudev has written in his commentary that each one of them followed by the next one, which are a product of the previous one. Meaning, the previous virtue will enhance the following one. So here you see, next one is Sattva Samshuddhihi, purity of heart. When you have the clear understanding that the soul is immortal, not subject to change or death, and that is the case with all living beings, which is the reality, which is the truth of life, thereafter the individual, what would be his approach to life? Pure. All negative tendencies are meant only for owning and possessing and enjoying and indulging with the body. With the body itself is impermanent. All that I need to own and aggrandize and hoard and enjoy, how can they be permanent? If my eyes themselves are impermanent, what it sees also is impermanent only. My tongue is itself is impermanent. What it can taste is also impermanent. So the purity of heart comes out of knowledge, not the timidness, tame, submissive. No. The purity, Sattva Samshuddhi, purity does not mean that person is living as a slave, good for nothing, submissive, timid. No. Sri Rama, when he was told that he is going to be the king, prince, crown prince, and next day or by the same night or the previous morning, the next day morning, he was told, no, go to the forest for 14 years. He was so clear that what my father wants is what I would do. Purity. No questions asked. Because my father would never ask me to do anything which is dangerous to me. And there must be a reason why he is asking me to do. And I do not mind whether I'm going to be in the palace living as a king or going to be in the forest living as a hermit, I am fine. I have no particular desire to fulfill, and therefore, I have no problem in whatever my father says to do, I will do it. Purity. And understand, he's not submissive or slave-like, good for nothing. He is capable of being a king, ruling the kingdom, fighting the enemy, protecting the people, bringing prosperity. Everything he is capable of. Why is that he is ready to go? He could have fought back. He didn't. Why? That is called purity. Simple, straightforward, clarity in thinking. The attitude was very positive. Sattva samshuddhihi, purity of heart. And that came out of what? Firmness in that knowledge. Jnana yoga vyavasthitihi. Firmness in knowledge. Because the highest goal that one wants to achieve, if it is liberation, and the path to that freedom is knowledge, and holding on to what is being taught, what is being understood clearly, and that firmness, that determination when it is there, it is not just intellectual, please understand. It is not a scholarly intellectual idea. It is gone deep into that personality, strong. It is become the very foundation of that person's existence. Gurudev writes saying that the knowledge should become your foundation. Otherwise, you will be falling for every passing sentiments and emotions and feelings. We are sentimental. Mental, first of all. Very easily getting carried away by even simple things in life. A simple loss here, somebody said something happened which we do not like, some unpleasant words here uttered by someone. We become so flimsy and we get so upset and angry, depressed or dejected with simple things in life. No firmness. See, a tree is standing very strongly, facing even the highest wind that is blowing, is because its roots are very well gone deep into the earth. In the same way, a saint may be very simple looking, very strong within. Such a strength of knowledge alone makes him able to face challenges of life without any kind of mental oscillation or dejection or depression. He neither gets elated by the excitements of life, nor get depressed by the dejections and disappointments. Firmly rooted in knowledge. Because there is a abhyasa, jnana abhyasa, practice of knowledge. Not just an intellectual idea, not just an information available for one to, merely quote or to speak or to write or to give lecture. Very strong within, because continuous contemplation upon the knowledge goes on. It's like, when you are applying, when you are installing any software, they ask this question: would you allow it to run in the background? Because in your computer, when you allow it to run in the background, it will consume a lot of energy. You know that. It will take away a lot of your battery power or your memory. But in the case of a saint, anything that he has contemplated upon, it is running in his background constantly. Yes, it is taking energy. Yes, it will take memory, but God, for good reason only. There are unwanted applications that are going on in the surface is that he may probably do it as a regular duties of life, but on the background, the contemplation goes on and on and on, getting rooted. Just like if you are planting a plant in a new place, new soil, it takes some time for the roots to grow and get a hold of it. You have to wait, put enough water, exposed to sun, and you will find slowly that plant newly established is taking root inside the ground. Only when it fully rooted, it starts showing up with some leaves. Beautiful leaves come out of it. That is to show that now the plant has established. In the same way, as the knowledge gets rooted, joy comes out of you. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam. And the jnanam expresses as sukham. The true joy. So that is jnana yoga vyavasthiti. Intelligence without ambition is a bird without wings. The mere knowledge alone is there where there is no focus, there is no final goal, there is no target, there is no movement of that knowledge towards its final purpose. That is like a bird is there, but no wings. It can fly, but it is supposed to fly, but it cannot. Now, when the knowledge has taken a firm root in the personality, as I said, the joy will be there. And the joy is expressed as what? Generosity. Dhanam. I'm ready to give to people who need the help. See, dhanam or charity, being generous, does not mean you become pauper and then give to everybody. That's not the idea. You become poor and you distribute all your wealth and you remain not even able to eat food next day. That is not dhanam. Make yourself strong enough to help. Make yourself prosperous enough to give. Don't empty yourself and then you also become a beggar. No, that is not dhanam. Shraddhayadeyam, ashraddhayadeyam, shriyadeyam, hriyadeyam, bhiyadeyam, sambidadeyam. It is said in the Upanishads. With faith you give, without faith don't give. Joyfully you give, plenty you give. To give, you must first of all acquire and make yourself rich enough, wealthy enough to give. There are many different kinds of dhanams are there. Annadhanam is there, Vidya dhanam is there. Best is, of course, annadhanam. To give to people who are not able to procure their own livelihood, give them food, no doubt. But the best thing that you should give is correct knowledge. When you acquire the knowledge, give to them. Now, by giving the knowledge, you are not going to become poor. In fact, by giving knowledge, you become more strong in your knowledge. The more clarity comes. So giving necessarily means what? You do not have any more attachment to what you give. There is a contentment already there. That's why you are able to give. That's why when you give for Thanksgiving or Christmas, when you give to, let's say your cousin or your niece or nephew, that person to whom you give, as soon as you give, your connection, relationship with what you give is gone, over. Don't go back and ask them, what did you do with what I gave you? Are you using it or not? Perhaps for all you know, he might have given to somebody else or given back to the shop and got some money out of it. Once you give, your relationship with what you give is over. So, because there must be detachment in the very act of giving. So, dhanam is not for recognition, for appreciation, for people to notice and talk great things about you. No. In fact, you should give dhanam even without anybody even knowing about it. Give for the sake of giving, not for the sake of being recognized. because you know the reason why you are giving is to help somebody else, not help yourself. And so this contentment and detachment, how did one come to have? It's by self-mastery. Damaha. The mind is capable of letting go all the unwanted indulgences, which only makes the senses tired. Jarayanti tejaha, in Kathopanishad it is said. These enjoyments of life are not giving strength to the senses and the mind and the body. They only take away your energy completely. Do you think by eating more than what you need to eat, you are becoming stronger? You're going to be weak. Food that you eat must be able to give you enough energy to work. But if you overeat, you'll go and sleep. Why? That's what it is. Indulgence makes you weak. One must be very clear that the sense organs are not meant for indulgences. They are meant for intelligently experiencing life and for the sustenance of the body. When we indulge, we get overpowered by the taste and the desires contained, the happiness, idea of happiness contained therein, and thereafter seeking for similar such experiences continue to haunt your mind, and your goal will be forsaken. In slavery, there is no freedom. When one becomes slave to the senses, there is no question of freedom for the mind. So self-mastery is non-indulgence to conserve energy, especially those who have been practicing meditation come to very clearly know that overindulgence in the senses will disturb them in the seat of meditation. Bhagavan Krishna very clearly says, Yukta Ahara, Yukta Vihara. Eating and spending your energy in the world of action must be moderated. Appropriate amount of food to eat, appropriate amount of energy to spend, enough rest, and enough time to work. Such a person can understand that when he or she sits for meditation, such a mind and senses not tired can alone be withdrawn easily. Otherwise, when your mind and senses are tired, when you withdraw, you go to sleep. So it is not self-persecution. It is not denial. It is discipline. It may look like a denial, but it is not so. It is an intelligent way of conserving energy. When you realize that you don't need to speak, converse in a particular situation where what you are saying is not going to add any value to that very conversation, you just keep quiet. You're conserving energy. Because everybody knows what the situation is, everybody's talking about it. I have nothing to contribute. You just observe it. There's no need to spend your energy. It is, our Gurudev used to give an example. One man got into a running train slowly, and he was carrying a heavy bag on his head. He was carrying it until he came into the train. And when he was inside the train, he was still having the same bag filled with some heavy stuff on his head. So somebody said, now when you are coming into the train, you need to carry that. Now when you are inside the train, you can keep it down. Why are you carrying it? No, it is mine. Baba, I understand that it is yours. When you yourself are being carried by the train, why not the train carry the load also which you have? In the same way, many of us think we are responsible for the entire world that is going on. Everything that is happening in this world is because of me. This foolishness have to go away. Once you realize that you are also on a journey, and what you are carrying also can be carried by others also, you need not have to worry about it. Many of the grihasthas cannot even think like this. They think as a parent, as a father and mother, I am completely 100% responsible for whatever happens to my child. They understand your son or a daughter, they are also individual souls who came here to take care of their karmas. Give them enough knowledge and maturity and leave them. They will take care of it. Bhagavan will take care of it. No, we cannot give up that. Oh my, you must see how they are so possessive, so worried, so insecure all the time. What will happen? What will happen? Oh, I have to do this. I have to. They just cannot give up. They think they dictate everything that goes on in the child's life. Until the child himself turns around and says, enough is enough. Leave me alone. Let me do what I need to do. Then they feel very hurt. Oh, see, my child saying like this. He's telling the truth. He's very practical, actually. So that sacrifice doesn't come. Yajna. Sacrifice. Why are you unnecessarily holding on to this possessive attachments? Instead, spend time in serving others. That is true yajna. Yajna is not sacrificing for the sake of your own kith and kin or a religious ritual. In the name of religion, you may do so many things, but basically you're making people starve in the streets, and you put what you call honey and milk and gold into the temples. No doubt you should give to God. No, I'm not denying that. But much more than that, even more than that, what you give to God, give it to the people who really need it. Because they are living beings in whom also God resides. The God whom you are worshipping in the temple with your gold and milk and honey is living in the heart of the poor also. Please give it to them. Serve them with humility. Gurudev always said the cooperative endeavor that can make a community better is called yajna. All of us together, when we put our resources and do something good to the world, that is called yajna. Not just a religious ritual. But even as we do the religious ritual, let us keep in mind it is for the benefit of the world that I do it, not for my own personal selfish desires to be fulfilled. What we have done for ourselves alone dies with us. What we have done for others and the world remains and is immortal. What we do for others, when we make others' life better, that will speak volumes than what you did for yourselves. If a person built a huge mansion for himself versus a person worked hard to make a beautiful, place for poor people to live, or a temple that is built, or a dharamshala for where people can eat food, that will remain forever in your name. Because you have done for others. Not for that sake you need to do, for the sake of you wish to be remembered forever. But do that as a sacrifice. As a part of your own earning, there should be a percentage should be meant for the world, because we are getting everything from the world, from the living beings around us, including plants and animal kingdom. What are we doing to protect them, to make their lives better, a safe place to live? Human beings have become so arrogant, they have started to encroach into the life and the living places of all other living beings and the plants. And we are facing the danger of those actions, the results of those dangerous things that we have done in the form of climatic changes, environmental destructions, diseases that cannot be cured, pandemics, flood, volcano eruptions, earthquakes, heat. It is continuously happening because we have destroyed the forests. We have become so self-centered. Our Upanishads and Gita and all the Puranas, they have given clearly instructions that how to live and let live. We have given up the study of those things, and we have so-called modern education only shows how much you can persecute the nature for your benefit. All that material sciences are talking about is how to make your life better by possessing more and more, taking away from the world, depriving others. So Swadhyaya, study. Here, Swadhyaya is not just merely a erudite scholar. No. Swadhyaya means observe your own self as a part of this entire universe, as a living entity, as a living consciousness. Focus on your own self, which is present in you, equally present in all. No difference. Once you start observing the self within you, how immaculate and beautiful it is, you start discovering the same one in all the beings around you. That is true Swadhyaya. Not just becoming an erudite scholar. And this self-observation helps you not only to understand your own inner urges, and because of which alone we tend to act so selfishly. I mean, you can see around people around you, whether it's a workplace or at work, I mean, at your own community or society or among the relatives, there are people who constantly talk about me. All about themselves. I did this, I accomplished this, I bought this, I sold this, I have this many shares, I've gone to these many countries, I've seen these things, and I have got this kind of car, this kind of a phone. There is no observation of their own self, which is independent of all these things. That the concept itself is not there. They only talk about material things and physical pleasures. Swadhyaya means a study about the deepest presence. And when we come to understand that one within us silently present, for which alone all other things are functioning. Now tell me, is it not every one of our action is to make ourselves happy? Yes. Which part of you is happy? You tell me by doing anything. Let us say that a beautiful platter of a lot of sweets and other things, very delicious food is in front of you. You eat for what? For the tongue, for the mind. When we say I'm eating sweets for my own happiness, which part of you gets happy? Tongue is happy, mouth is happy, Eyes are happy. Mind is happy. You may say mind is happy by eating the sweet. Sweet has nothing to do with the mind. Your sugar is not going to add to the mind thought. No, it has nothing to do. This one is physical, another is psychological. How the psychological nature of the mind has anywhere connected to the physical sweetness, sugar? You understand, mind disturbed by having the sweet which is demanded by the mind. When the demand of the mind is met, the disturbed mind becomes quiet, and in a quiet mind, for a short period of time, there is a glimpse of consciousness, and that consciousness, which is of the nature of Ananda, is experienced. So for whose sake you are doing this? Every one of our actions are meant for indirectly to get into that silent presence of the self alone. Unknowingly we do this. When knowingly you control and go deeper into yourself, that is called tapas, austerity. Regularly audit your own inner urges and make sure that you don't need to give in for those urges. Instead, by overcoming them by correct knowledge, and you go into the deeper silent presence of the self, you get the same ananda which you may get by fulfilling the demand of the mind. By eating the sweet, if you think that you will get ananda, by rejecting the sweet and making the mind quiet, you get a more permanent ananda. Telling you, it's true. We want quick. Mind is demanding, give it. But when you do not give, what happens to the mind? Moreover, look at it. It gets agitated. It demands it. Just watch. Slowly, slowly, it will settle down. And you realize that it's not necessary. It is not a mindless self-denial again. It's an intelligent way of overcoming the restlessness of the mind. The dangerous part is that when you keep on giving whatever the mind demands, you can never stop it anymore. It knows. It's like an adamant child, it cries and cries and the mother gives in. Okay, don't cry, I'm giving it to you. Okay, next time it will cry. It knows that by crying alone, I'll get it. I'll cry. The next time also when it cries, the mother gives. Okay, the third time, I know now it's a routine now. Whenever I want, I'll cry. But if the mother says, you may cry, but I know this sweet is dangerous to your body. Even if you cry, I'm not going to give. Because you should remember that this is not good for your body. Cry. So second time, the fellow will think, crying is not going to get me this. So why should I cry? Waste my time, waste my energy. So it finds another method of getting it. Of course, I'm just giving an example here. So when you that intelligently approach the demand of the mind without giving in, why should I oblige to you? So the agitations of the mind created superficially to fulfill its own demands, when it is not given in, when you don't give in for that, slowly, slowly the mind knows, no, I'm not going to get it. And you practice this to overcome it, overcome the urges of the mind. That is through tapas. See, the word tapas, very interesting. Tapati means burns. Patati means falls. Most of the time we do patanam, falling for the mind. Opposite you should do, tapas, to get up, to rise up. So when we fall for all the demands of our ego, the pride and arrogance and haughty selfishness, we can never be straightforward in our dealings. That's why next one is arjavam, honesty. There's no hidden agenda in any of the actions. It's straightforward, meaning when a person realizes what exactly is the purpose of this action, is very sincere about that. And there is no asking of what is in for me, what is in for me. No. Is it good? I'll do it. It doesn't matter whether it is going to make my life better or something better for me. It doesn't matter. If it is the right thing to do, let us do it. There's no hidden agenda. And this does not being by sometimes people say that being straightforward will hurt others, Swamiji. Of course, you must use this arjavam, honesty, with the understanding of the others' maturity also. So not to be inconsiderate. See, when Sri Rama said that I will oblige to my father's words, even though his own mother Kausalya was not very happy about that. He did not say that whatever you think, I am going to go. No, he immediately went to her and told her, Mother, I know that you would like me to be around, to be a prince, a crown prince. But the point is that our father, my father, that is your husband, has given a word, a promise. And a promise given by the king, if the king cannot fulfill it, it is a son's duty to do it. And my father, if I do not follow what he says or what he has promised, it will become dangerous to him, your own husband. So my going to the forest is not for my own pleasure. It is not just to keep, following my father's command. It is to make sure my father's words are true and what promise that he gave is fruitful. Even though you may think it is the very, very cunning act of Kaikeyi. After all, she is also my mother. So he explained to her, gave her assurance that I will be back and I will take care of whatever be the situation at that time. Please give me permission. So being straightforward, not moving away from one's decision, at the same time, being considerate, being ready to listen to others and their viewpoints, their standpoints, and by clarifying that and then proceeding forward. Now, I am honest. I don't care who or what is. I am going to say blunt things straightforward on their face. That is not straightforwardness. Being aware of the purpose, like an arrow. Like an arrow, when it is shot, it would not stop anywhere. It will go straight to the target. In the same way, a person who is honest and sincere would proceed on with his or her goal by making sure that he is clearing all others' doubts while completing his job. And he's not a loner. He carries everybody along with him, making sure that all of them understand the purpose of why he is doing and then accomplish the goal. Not leaving everybody behind and then moving forward. So there are so many such intricate, subtle values that are presented in this chapter. Very interesting to understand. And most importantly, what it is not. Superficially, when you look at it, there are some misunderstanding. We should make sure that we don't hastily do things. Therefore, honesty is the first chapter in the Book of Wisdom. Book of Wisdom begins with how honest you are. Self-honesty is the first and foremost qualification. If you are not honest to yourself, how long you are going to fool yourself? You can fool yourself for one time, twice, three times. You can even fool yourself, but you cannot fool others. So, self-honesty in the path of divinity is very important. You may do rituals and pujas and chanting and japa, etc. But please understand, don't do it for others. Do it for the purpose of you becoming strong enough, inspiring enough to proceed on in your path. Well, at the same time, carry all with you, clarifying why you are doing what you're doing and making sure that others understand the purpose of your actions. We'll see more of it in the next class. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkhabhat Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.